Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. So, as you can tell by the title of this video, we're carrying on the Forgotten series again. And today I wanted to talk about old weapon combinations that might not be in the game anymore, or people have just forgotten about. You know, as the Forgotten series might suggest, they've been forgotten. Currently recording at, 20 to 4 in the morning. Not a great idea, but we're here, we're doing it. And I have uni tomorrow, so yeah, it's looking good. I really quickly just want to say a massive thank you to all of the support on yesterday's video, which is the challenge video for the unusuals, depending on whoever gets the most amount of kills in 1 hour with a strange scattergun. So far the video is doing quite well. It's only been up for a few hours at this point, but the reception to it has been quite good, and there's actually a couple of people who have already been trying it out, which is awesome. I don't want to mention it too much over the next 2 weeks because I know it's going to get boring. But, you've got 2 weeks to try it out. Stream yourself for an hour playing with the strange scattergun. See how many kills you get. Now with that out of the way, I want to talk a little bit about forgotten weapon combos. We're doing this video a little bit differently because I couldn't actually think of 5 different weapon combinations to do. So instead we're just doing 4. I know, I'm a bit of a letdown, but at this point I don't think you expected anything less. So we're starting off with the Sandman and the Flying Guillotine. Now, this set everybody knows about. It used to be one of the most common scout sets ever. And it was actually a very, very controversial topic in the TF2 community the whole time it was in the game. Personally, I feel like I never really had a problem with it. People were very, very good at using it, but I feel like, in my opinion at least, it still took skill to pull off. Like, I couldn't just join a random server and hit 100% of every Sandman ball and cleaver that I hit, because I was just not good enough. But I get that people who were good at it and used it all the time were very, very difficult to fight against. So you die constantly and it would be very annoying. That I completely get, but I still kind of loved it. It was so satisfying to hit somebody with the Sandman ball, which honestly I wasn't very good at doing. So the fact that I hit that at all was quite cool to me. And then also following up with a successful guillotine throw, like, that was amazing to me. And then both of the weapons just got nerfed. The Sandman no longer bonks people, but instead it slows them down a tiny bit for a little bit, so they can still run quite quick and can still shoot at you. And the Flying Guillotine doesn't crit these slowed down people or these stunned people at all, so there's no really use using it. And it doesn't actually get mini crits from a long range away, apparently, like it used to. I don't know, like, it just kind of sucks now. I feel like this happens in pretty much every single game that has a gun that people might think is overpowered. They kind of realize that, okay, maybe this gun needs a nerf, it's a little bit too overpowered, and then they just completely destroy the gun so nobody ever wants to use it again. There's no reward really for hitting people with the Sandman ball, and the Flying Guillotine does barely anything. Anyway, moving on. Next up we have the Locker Load, the Charge and Targe, and the Islander. I feel like it was Muselk that first made this set stupidly popular, and so every demo man in every server you ever ran into was using it. And honestly, it was amazing. Not to fight against, but to use against other people, I felt great. The Locker Load was ridiculously overpowered. The Charge and Targe had so many upsides to using it, then there was no point not to. And the Islander was also very, very strong. Until again, Valve tried to make changes to guns they don't quite understand and just nerfed them a lot. Now this one wasn't as bad as the Sandman and Flying Guillotine. Like, this set is still usable and I tried it out a little while ago and I still quite like it. But it's not anything like it used to be. The Locker Load's plus 20% damage on players has been moved from players to buildings, which can still be quite useful in quite a lot of situations. But now you can't one-shot people, which I think is still fair, and you couldn't one-shot people when Muselk showed it off either. So the Locker Load right now I think is actually at a pretty decent place. Fire immunity on the Charge and Targe was completely removed, and blast resistance was reduced from 40% to 30%, which still not that bad. They also mess with how much damage you do as to how long you've been charging, which I think was a good change. And I don't know, I never really hit anybody at the end of my charges anyway because I suck. So I don't really notice the difference. And for the Islander, the only change they've really made that makes it less effective is that it takes longer to pull out and to put away again. Which, while you're charging towards somebody, doesn't really matter all that much. This one I feel like isn't actually awful to use anymore. It's just that people don't really use it anymore because they think it's still bad. I don't really want to see a bunch of servers fill up with lock and load demos again, but I'd say try out this set if you want to see if it's still good. I don't know. Okay, so now it's time to talk about the old spy set that everybody used, the Dead Ringer, the Diamondback, and the Spicicle. This set was the only thing spies ever used. At least the pub spies. Maybe the prem spies were using something else because they were actually decent at the game, but most pub spies, including myself, only exclusively used this set. Or maybe you could swap out the Diamondback with the Ambassador, because back then, the Ambassador was actually a good gun, and the headshots on it were actually fun. I'm still mad at Valve for ruining the Ambassador for me. Like, that was my favourite gun. So, obviously, the old Dead Ringer allowed people to tank so much damage, it made you pretty much unkillable. You'd activate your Dead Ringer and then be able to walk off completely fine because you're immune to all damage for a few seconds, run over to an ammo pack, completely restore your Dead Ringer, and just carry on fighting again. If you were burning, that was pretty much gone and you couldn't be burned again for a few seconds, which was great. Meant that the only way a pyro could actually kill you is that if they followed you the right way while holding down mouse 1. Then the Spicicle, which was also really popular, basically made it so that if your Dead Ringer was active, you could still swap out to it and negate all of the pyro's damage again, get the burn off you again, and carry on running just completely fine. So that pyro would have to guess twice where you've gone to carry on burning you and actually maybe get a kill. Then whenever you pretty much do anything as spy, the Diamondback then starts giving crits. So if you slap a building, you get crits. If you backstab someone, you get crits. That hasn't actually been touched, by the way. The Diamondback is still overpowered. Can't quite say the same for the Dead Ringer, though. It has been changed quite a lot. You can't actually refill it with ammo packs anymore, but that was quite an old change at this point. Now, when the Dead Ringer is activated, you lose 50% of your cloak meter straight away. Then you have to refill the whole thing to be able to use it again, which makes a lot of sense and was, again, a fairly decent change. And the regen rate for the cloak was slower. I do feel like once again they've nerfed it a little bit too heavily. Like, their changes make sense and the Dead Ringer right now is still good and it still works. But having to regen your whole thing after only being able to use 50% of it each time is kind of like, yeah, okay, cool, I guess. Like, you have to hide for quite a while to actually get your cloak back. I don't want to weigh in too heavily on what could be done better here because I'm not great at spy. I don't really understand him, so people will probably know better than me, and Valve will probably know better than me about what needed to be done. So, yeah, I'm just going to stay quiet. And the final set I'm going to be talking about is the Degreaser, the Reserve Shooter, or the Flare Gun. They were interchangeable, and the Extinguisher. Also known as like the Puff and Sting loadout for the Pyro. It was amazing. I loved it. Unless it was being used on me. And I think that's a common theme amongst all of these loadouts so far. I had no problem being the dick that used it in the servers, but I hated the other people who used them. But yeah, this loadout was pretty overpowered because you could just walk up to somebody with the Degreaser, set them on fire, air blast them, which wasn't that difficult, pull out the Extinguisher or the Flare Gun, and since they're right in front of your face on fire, it was hard to miss. I remember a lot of people when the nerfs came in saying that this set was completely dead and you can't really use it anymore. I haven't tried it in so long I wouldn't know if that statement is true or not, so I don't know. Comment down below if you still use it and still think it's okay. But basically they reduced the Degreaser switch time so it took longer to swap between weapons with it. Because that was why the Degreaser was so good, because you could swap between weapons really quickly. The Reserve Shooter got changed a lot on basically what it could mini crit if they were in the air. Like no longer jumping players counted, or, you know, apparently people who were shot up into the air by your own air blast can't be mini crit anymore. So Valve, I ask you, what is the point of this gun? Once again, you've taken away a weapon that has a really original concept to it and made it useless. What is the point? And then for the Extinguisher, they've made it so it's got a 20% slower swing speed and a plus 75% slower switch to speed. Again, I don't really play Pyro and I haven't actually used the set since it was nerfed, so I have no idea whether that really changed it all that much. I know it was quite bad, just don't know how bad. But I miss the Puff and Sting. I hate fighting against it, and I always hated it, but I liked using it. It made me feel good when I killed people. Even though the kills were easy and undeserved, it just doesn't matter. So anyway, that is going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I know for this video I talked quite a little bit more about the loadouts that I had. I kind of did that because I knew there was only 4 instead of 5 this time, which I kind of felt bad about, but I really couldn't find a 5th loadout to put in this video. So I hope that was alright for you guys. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, make sure you leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. There's a lot of awesome content coming your way very soon that I'm very excited about, so you're not going to want to miss that. Also, there will be an unusual being given away if you get the most amount of kills with a straight and scattergun in 1 hour. Check out my last video if you want to learn more about that. And you're also going to want to subscribe because you want to know if you win. So you should do that. So anyway, that is going to do it. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.